I could definitely, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, right? I mean, your passion, whatever you're talking about, is gonna pour out, and it's literally one of those things. It's like an open faucet without a cap, and you'll just spit that information out. Is that something that you picked up from like ancestors in your family, and more so from the entrepreneurial background side of things? Is you anybody in your family have that aspect, or is that just something
Um,
that you just grew into on your own?
my father's from Santiago, Chile, and my
Okay,
mother is from Warsaw, Poland. And
okay.
so my wife's Afro-American, so my kids are confused. Anyway, so I look at my parents, and they're great. I love them. My dad came off the boat, from Miami.
Mhm,
From Miami. I'm sorry. He came
mhm,
up from Miami, and he got off the boat when he was 18. Worked his way
mhm.
up to Boston, Massachusetts. My
Okay,
mother, she literally ran for her life because of the war back in World War II.
okay.
I just remember her story because, briefly to tell you, she lived in a building that was going to get bombed, and my grandmother, her mom, obviously,
Mhm,
knew the bomb was coming. The planes were coming to bomb that area because the Germans were coming, and literally grabbed her, threw her over her shoulder, and as they were running out of the building, about 2 blocks down, she saw the bomb hit that building and
mhm,
it tumbled down. So her life obviously got saved. She would have died,
mhm.
and she was 2 years old. And so when those memories hit you at that age, hey, that's shock value. You're not going to forget that.
Yeah.
So anyway, she came to Watertown, Massachusetts by the age of 9. They found their way to get to America.
Mhm,
So, the great place that we all live, and the great idea of freedom that we have, I'm very grateful for. Both my parents found each other through a friend that mutually knew the both of them, introduced
mhm,
them. And so one thing led to another. They got married. My brother came, and then I came next. But through that time, as I was growing up, my dad, 9 to 5, my
mhm,
mother, 9 to 5. But then my mother got laid off, and she was trying to figure out, how can I do my own thing?
mhm.
So she started a consignment shop
Nice.
where she had people come in, bring in their clothes. She would make some profit. They would make some profit. And so that's how she did her business. And she did that for about 6, 7 years. And through that time, I grew up with that.
Mhm,
And seeing my father being as boisterous and as loud as he was, and same thing with my mother, of course, the many arguments that they had. I don't know if any of that had anything to do with who I was. But regardless, I learned a lot from the both of them to a degree, but I was still staunchly taught that I needed to go to school, get good grades, and then finish school, go to college, get a good job,
mhm,
and then go from there. And I'm thinking, why are you telling me this, Mom? I can't figure this out. Here you are doing what you're doing. And I only told her this years later, but you're not thinking of this when you're 16, 17, 18, because your mind's not knowing how to decipher, at least for most people,
mhm.
to be able to say, it sounds hypocritical. You're telling me to do something you're not doing. All I did was I just paid attention to what she just said, because these are my mentors. These are my influence. These are my
Mhm.
parents. So whatever they say, I guess I just have to do. And so that's the reason why, I went through all those jobs, because again, round peg in a square hole
Mhm.
doesn't work. And God was trying to lead me down a path. He was like, all right, I'm going to keep on showing you this path. You're just going to be hard headed about it. You got something in you. You can do this. I was just lacking confidence.
Hmm.
That's what the issue was. And then when I started experimenting, and thankfully, just got to tell you, my wife, if it
Hmm.
wasn't for her, this would have never happened. She was the one working while I was taking care of the boys. So as soon as she got the boys out of her, man, and she's back to work,
Mhm.
here I am taking care of 2 babies, and I'm trying to figure things out on my own entrepreneurially. And that's where it all started. And then that's where I gained most of my confidence.